Hello, internet.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, internet. So Tim and I are going to be doing something a little bit different today. We are thinking about ways to have a more like generic or maybe like a controlled, I don't know what the proper term would be here, but a more like descriptive way of retrying effectful logic. Primarily, like the goal at the moment is to support something we have in mind for like the AI libraries because we're not currently satisfied with the API that we're providing. But um, the goal is to make this generic enough that it can be incorporated into effect directly. Um, so we don't exactly know what that's going to look like yet, but we thought it would be interesting to give some insight into like how we go about tackling some of these problems. So instead of streaming content layer stuff today, we're going to stream our development of this retry plan, execution plan, whatever we're going to call it, module that we're going to try to incorporate into effect. Yeah, Tim, I don't know if you want to add anything or have any additional commentary or questions. I kind of ambushed
Mhm.
Tim with this earlier, though,
I
with
think
very
if we
little context.
just open a scratch pad and chat through it.
Sounds good.
Uh, I feel like retry plan the best. It's less scary than execution plan.
Retry plan it is.
Um,
Maybe we could talk through like the goals first.
yeah,
Um, so one of the goals that we have in mind here, and again, primarily the main goal right now that we have in mind for this module is to support the AI libraries, but the idea is to make this generic enough that we can incorporate it into effect directly. But the reason, one of the goals we have in mind for supporting the AI libraries is um, being able to pass or specify different dependencies to use at different stages of like the retry logic. So,
yeah,
like for example, running an AI program, instead of having like what we currently have, which is the AI plan module, the idea would be that you could use normal effectful retry logic to retry AI computations, but provide like different models to use or dependencies in the environment. So that's like one of the goals we have in mind with this.
yeah,
Uh, and then the other goal we have with this module is to make it a bit easier to like deal with all of this different retry logic. Like I know one of the gripes I hear a lot, I'm not sure we're going to be able to support it with this module necessarily yet, but one of the gripes I hear a lot about like retry logic in effect is like stateful retry logic. People want to like maintain state between retries. Not sure that this is the goal of this module, but something to keep in mind.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I think one of the main things we should keep in mind is like one of the goals is to be able to swap dependencies in and out.
yeah. I think the state problem would probably have to be tackled in schedule potentially.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe that's like an effect 4.0 thing.
We
But
track a lot more information in schedule in 4.0, right? Because we have the error channel as well on a schedule.
yeah,
Uh, so we probably, yeah,
but we don't
might,
really track state. I guess if we add some like folding APIs that allow you to kill like each iteration update state.
yeah, any state that the schedule maintains is within its own like pull closure right now with the 4.0 schedule, right?
Yeah,
Um, but anyways, so one of the goals in mind for this is like the layer or dependencies or whatever that the particular retry is going to provide.
And I'm guessing this has to work for streams as well.
I think the goal would be that anything that has a retry API could be passed a retry plan.
So if we support context, runtime, what else do we spawn here? Layer. I don't think we have an API for manage runtime and stream. So we'll just leave that out for now.
Yeah, I think we can
Those are
leave
the main
management.
three.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
let me
so we need to
tweet
track
out.
the context or layer. The layer could have errors or requirements. Or what was the other runtime?
Sorry, say that again.
I was just saying that a layer has error and requirements. The plan could provide these things, one of these things. And then I guess attempt. The schedule. Okay.
It would also be
requirements.
It would also be interesting if retry plan eventually was compositional. But we could start with this and see where it goes, like as the constructor.
Yeah. In schedule requirements or schedule requirements could be never, but and I kind of ignore it. And it will default to unknown anyway. We make it explicit. Okay.
Would attempts be embedded in the schedule at the end of the day?
Yes. Well,
Just thinking like, would the constructor for a retry plan just to take a schedule and then whatever combinators we provide could add like attempts and while logic, etc.
I'm just thinking from the user-facing API perspective. I think having a temps while was nice. I can't remember how we typed. I guess if we look at the currently open options, weird base options. Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, and this is actually the. Do we export with fallback anymore? I'm pretty sure that the AI plan is literally just a like the constructor takes everything now.
We are still exporting it.
Hmm.
You do want to export it because if you want to like compose, like you could have a plan and then add some additional steps in another place.
Right.
Having everything in the constructor is kind of like kills composability. So if you provide a while, what do we do about schedule input? I guess
Um,
we just have an input for the schedule and for the project. And then we'll have to do an intersection. Union.
that's a keyword, right?
That's one. And then a retry plan. Provide some stuff. Do I make that? I'll make it carrier. Kojak. It will have some requirements. Potentially. Errors. Yep. We have errors. And we have input. Which will default to a none. Error will default to never. Well, it's default to never. I'm not sure on the properties yet.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure either. I think
In
we could
terms of
probably just have
usage, though, uh, category execution. I guess if we have a use API for Apex, which would be June. So you would have some effect. Some stuff.
Gotta love stuff.
And then you would have your retry plan. With provides an error. Plan error. Plan one. And that would return fixed that excludes provides. Adds plan requirements. Adds plan error. And the input A would need to extend input. Extends in. I see. Would be what?
Yeah, when we've settled on an API and everything like that, it would also be interesting if we could figure out a way to have effect.retry take a plan.
Yeah, I guess the only downside to that is in 4.0 we're a lot more conscious about bundle size. And
True.
if you I guess it could be type only.
If we put the execution of the plan on the plan, then it could be type only.
Yeah.
It's fine. We'll figure it out. For now, I like exporting everything from the module itself while we figure things out.
It's used. And then I guess we'd have used stream. And they'll return stream. Okay. Uh,
I think we can coalesce everything on the constructor into a schedule and a provide property.
I guess in here we would build schedule. Be in, but we don't care about that. Okay. And then for all back stuff, torn between with full like or else.
I like or else. We can debate naming, but I think that like
Yeah.
one of the things that trips people up with the AR libraries right now is that there's too many strange ways of doing things, and one of those weird things is like the naming is different, but like from what you would normally expect with effect.
Else. Oh wait, that type is wrong. P-E-E-R. Errors. What else? Let's start with database. So we have the plan, the plate, and we're going to take another set of options. Let's do. And everyone provides to be assignable. The original one.
What's the conundrum here?
Well, if you do a fallback, the provides need to match or at least be a subset of the original. Let's rename it to plan hero. Plan requirements. So provides to could be narrower. Provides. That just means our final type would have to be. Yes, equals unknown. And we're just missing sounds like a channel wave here.
I was about to say, these feel like
That's
channel
just-
signatures.
Or
14 generics,
and
and, and you have to specify
Try.
the types of everything on the inside.
So the retry plan will take the smallest of the two provides. No, I would take intersection. And we don't care about output. No, not even about putting a plan. Good job. But input would be an intersection of the predicate input and the schedule input. Errors would be the layer error. That's it. And the requirements would be the layer requirements or the schedule requirements. Here it would be an intersection of the original input and predicate input, schedule input, original error, or like error. But E Alright, we've got some types to design to. Okay.
Or mock out a little like, program and see how these APIs feel so far.
Yeah, okay. Let's say usage. So if we had some player that provided AI language model, and we had some effects deployed and required AI language model. So if we go and make
Plan.
provide Try that 3 times. Retry. Extends. Cool. What else? But Libby. Schedule. I guess do a default to schedule once.
Yeah.
That lets you provide attempts. Schedule dot space 1 second. So now we have a plan that provides AI language model. Can take an input of anything and doesn't have error or requirements. And if we add error in here, then we get errors. And we add requirements, we have requirements. I'm already seeing an issue here. So let's create like a service. Dad jokes seems to be
Can't go wrong with dad jokes, Tim.
the example we have here.
You can't go wrong with it. Everybody loves a good dad joke.
Because dad joke would be AI language model not generate text. Was it prompt?
They're always funny, just for clarification.
If we went use the plan here, possible. Oh, we screwed up. This is use the plan. Now, so that's kind of our problem. We don't want the plan requirements to leak into service methods. There is no need of retry plans for dad jokes. Always funny. I know there's some pretty bad dad jokes. So, if we want to move some plan requirements to the service, there will have to be. I guess we could make it an optional step that returns a new plan, but with the requirement eliminated.
What would it look
I'm
like?
I'm not sure what to call it. We'll just call it build for now, but I think we can change the name later. But if we take a plan and return an effect that returns a plan, so in here we would have a retry plan, provides the same stuff, has the same input, same plan error, but has no requirements. Never, and then moves the requirements into the effect. So then plan, build, plan, and have a plan with never in the requirements. And then now service methods have never. Build isn't the right name. But it will ensure that working with the service pattern, you're not leaking requirements into service members.
Yeah. Trying to think like, what are we missing here? Or what don't we like about this?
Yes. I mean, when doing the service pattern and you're using other services, you always have access at the top of the lab or the constructor and then usage inside the members. Like if that was another service, you'd have service and then yield the tag, and then use it down here.
Right. What
So
other
we kind
types
of
of like? Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
so we kind of have to follow that same pattern to ensure like the dependency structure is correct. And if we want to make plans tags, I think we've already gone down that route and it got complicated. We need identifiers.
Yeah, because if you have multiple plans,
Yeah.
you would basically have to generate a tag on the fly.
Unless plans themselves are effects as well.
That's basically
And
what
then,
we have right now with the AI plan. Is the plan
yeah,
is an effect.
it's the same thing.
Which is fine. Like,
I mean, you could use the plan as it is, but like a footgun for service members. Uh,
What types of functionality do you think we could add to the plan for error management?
Error management.
Like retrying on errors and whatnot. I mean, the API that we
The
have in
while.
yeah, the while is fine. It's just that it's a little weird to use in the AI plan right now. I'm not like super satisfied with it. I'm not sure if we can expose like a better API if the plan is abstracted from.
Yeah, like the plan has no knowledge of the call set. Oh. Used.
And I already like that at least the plan is separated from the build, so it's not explicitly required to use the plan.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I didn't like about the current design of AI plan is that excuse me, to apply the plan to a particular AI program, you have to build it.
Hmm.
And if we hook this into normal effect retry like functionality, like if effect.retry can take a plan, I think that's also a win because um because then you don't have this weird use thing anymore. I think that's also like something I really don't like about the current design of um yeah, exactly. The current thing that I don't like about the current design of AI plan also is the fact that you have to like use a model and use a plan.
I guess we can tackle that. Effect. Retry. Plan. Okay.
The other thing with the AI libraries that I was um, speaking with Mike about earlier, actually, this kind of ties into the retry logic a little bit, but I feel like we could potentially. You mentioned making use of layer map, which is fine, but I'm wondering if like we can't really expose the. Well, we'll focus on the retry logic first, but there's a bunch of things I don't like. If we can eliminate the whole having to use a plan, if we could just effect out retry with a plan, that's already better.
Yeah. Uh, I think we already have everything we need for retried.
So how will or else be applied? Like once a schedule is
Yeah, I
finished?
guess if we
Do we?
just do as a constructor now.
Yeah.
Uh, merged. We'll just s- won't be modified at all. Options fine. Schedule. The
default schedule would what, be scheduled at once?
yeah. And then we have a base schedule. Attempts. If often dot attempts. It is great. It's fine. And it's greater than 1. I don't know. Because if they provide a schedule, then we need to override it. Schedule dot recurs.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So we just have to schedule dot. Who is not sure what API to use compose?
I think we either want union or intersect in this case.
We'll either want one or the complete of.
So intersection is all if both schedules decisions are to continue. Union is if either schedule wants to continue.
Oh, yeah. So what deceived. Attempts. While. Yeah. Options are while. We want scheduled up while input. I guess we want to add effectful predicates too.
We could.
Effects. No. Input would be in return it. Create.
Definitely has channel vibes.
Here we have to well input schedule. And then So, no answer to. Okay. Well, attempts schedule. Provide is taken care of. Uh, He is wild. Okay. Let's make what else? Drill to paste.
Would we just
Uh,
would we just
in
sequentially apply the schedules here? Like we would have to figure out what to do with the provide piece, but we could build the second plan and then just sequentially apply the schedules. Right?
someone here would need to collect. Because each step might have a different schedule, so we need the steps. Option. I guess, or else take another retry into. Let's do an
Would probably have to be another overload now.
it doesn't have to be. We just read it while and then we can reuse it. E and we go for this into zero to P. Now we'll just need a type guard. Where else? So here we can go to the films. Mhm. What's your component providers missing? It's not narrowing properly. So here we will get Retry. Oh, well, all back there. Add steps. I think that's okay for now. Yeah. And then we need to move all get views and move it to effect. Retry. Just do it on the internal types. But we don't have to repeat ourselves. Yeah, that's strange. The types are different. But so here we can either take schedule or our retry plan. And be the same as this guy. Um, and to be careful not to create circular dependencies. But
Yeah, I think is schedule going to be in a circular dependency here?
retry planners, because we are importing the module and the schedule module.
Yes.
I think the only way to do it is to move the type predicate into schedule
Yeah.
and the type ID. Okay. And then if we add a variant of a retry, we just need a retry retry and then we go use signature. We don't need Joe here because it doesn't.
All right.
And then the no effect.retry thingy. Do we change that type? Else it's retry bullet return. Yeah, kind of. Easy. Okay, well, I've got top errors here now. What did we change? We imported retry plan.
I think our imports and retry plan are going to need to be fixed as well.
Which imports?
I think we need to swap all of the effect slash imports for the.
Yeah. Get rid of effect or and then end of line .js.
Yep.
Okay.
So what type error are we getting here?
Really? It's those type errors are from the language service thingy. We've got them everywhere now, even in the effect internals.
Hmm.
I wonder if we can just ignore LSP errors or something. The false positives. So we just focus on this retry plan thing. So we need a new effect that goes through every step of the retry plan. So we're kind of just like re-implementing the AI plan, I guess.
The one thing that we did with AI plan, which I'm not sure is desirable here, is the check. If you remember, like whenever we had a while, we like had to apply it once before the next step as well. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to do that here.
But so does it always run once? And
Oh,
then
let's go. You can go
the
with it as
schedule
is.
should take care of everything.
We can go with it as is and write a few tests.
Yeah.
Tests for an experimental module? What's that?
Wait. Oh no. We can use. Yeah, we're in total mode, so if we get some. Or. Interest. Or const. Land dot steps. Fixed with. Was it Where is provide? It's in layer.
Hopefully that's not circular.
Step.
I wonder if we can extract the current like memo map if we're provided with a layer. Like I wonder if there's a way we can like basically prevent rebuilding stuff.
We don't have access to global memo map here.
Hmm.
Okay, effect will provide. And then I guess here we go. Readjust to the old normal retry of the schedule. Retry effect. I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Oh, I think we're forgetting to provide the effect to effect provide, which is why we're getting that weird type error.
Yeah. So we're providing our stuff. We're applying the read logic of that step.
We probably need to
If you don't provide attempts a while, then I thought the schedule would be you wouldn't want any retry. You just want to try it once and then move on to the next.
Well, will that just be baked into the schedule regardless? Like the
No,
default
because we're
schedule.
defaulting to once instead of 0.
What does effect.retry do?
So it
Think we-
always runs it at least once. And then retries are additional to the first run. Whereas with retry plan, you want to run it once, then move on to the next step if there is another step, and not retry again. So it's slightly different semantics. I think the schedule will need to be optional. What would while do though? Mm-hmm. It would run with the provided layer. I guess you just kind of ignore while if there's no schedule to start with.
So explain this again. Yes.
So if we go back to our usage, and let's say we just edit this, it would run get dad joke once with layer A. If it fails, immediately move on to layer B. So there'll be no retry for the first.
Right.
So in our plan, we need to somehow indicate that we don't want the retry applied for that first step because there's no attempts as a greater than one, essentially. Because when you do effect.retry, times doesn't include the first attempt. It's like additional. So that
Right.
times one here is the same as attempts two.
Am I doing it in AI plan right now? Probably have. Semantic might be wrong in AI plan currently.
Mhm.
I think it's right there with build.
Keep track of the current result. The get retry options returns an option here. So the retry is conditionally applied.
Now do I resolve the options?
If there's no schedule or no check done, go on find, get on the find. So attempts isn't considered there. Where is attempts?
I think it's because I bake
Well, the
into the
attempts
schedule
gets,
like we're doing
that
right
gets baked into the schedule. Yeah, you do need to separate the while, because if the while doesn't match the previous error, then you want to kind of skip the step. So we will have to separate the while here as well. While. But we can just automatically turn it into an effectful version.
now. I think I do that already in AI plan as part of the constructor, yeah.
And the schedule will be optional as well. So you only have a schedule with attempts that's either greater than 1 or if you pass in the schedule. Here, let's refactor. We no longer put the while into the schedule. It's added 2 steps. Oh, it's deleted that code. And so Boolean. What is type? Then we go back to internal schedule. What else do we have? A while in the schedule. Let's not worry about while. No, and just do this. Uh, uh, if step dot schedule next let's retry. Okay. Were we was to check if we were embedding the attempts properly.
We default to a schedule of schedule.once, and then we apply recurs if there's an attempt specified.
Yes, that's not right.
We could do schedule.stop as the default.
Schedule dot undefined.
Oh, I see.
If option dot attempts. If the schedule exists. Later. Then we do it in section, otherwise it's just schedule dot recurs temps minus 1. If option dot temps and option dot attempts is greater than 1.
And why do we only subtract 1 in the case that the schedule's not already applied?
You do it here as well.
Oh.
Because there's always at least 1 attempt. We subtract that. All the additional retries. Okay. Just keep moving, I guess.
Keep on moving.
The next effect applies stuff. Applies a retry schedule if it exists. And then I guess it will run. And I think here tfix build everything. So we just want core dot there. Headers here, great. With either dot is right result. Return result. And then we need to move result here. Hurry up. Either a one. If we've already had this step execute,
Yes.
then we know it is a left at this point. I guess we can
You probably want to check if you have a while on the step as well. Because if there's no while, you don't need to enter that branch, right?
And then we're just doing pretty much what? Oh, we need to apply the while here too, don't we?
Yeah, that's why I think in AI plan I have like this separate method for resolving the retry options.
So that we can just use our retry command. Is scheduled. Yes. Retry. Schedule. Task. Well. I guess we can look at our plan. We don't need the scopes to retry option. Yeah, that'll just... So we're pretty much the same right now. And then in AI plan, it's doing the check.
Yeah, I think the check is basically just running the check, and then if it returns
It's fatal error.
yeah, I didn't know what to call this variable.
If the check fails, then it should move on to the next step, right?
Yeah. If the check hang on a minute.
Yeah,
While
should be continue.
I'm inverting the check.
Files. Yeah, so if it's true, then you should do this. If it's false, it should be like, should continue. If well, maybe should use step. Continue. Should use step equals yield. Step. Oh, result. Yeah. Should not use step. Then move on to the next step. And then finally, if all the steps fail, then we return result. Okay. Are we seeing any implementation? Yes. Build.
Missing build, but we could try running the plan on like some vanilla program that doesn't have any provides and just see if it works the way it should.
Yeah. npm coaching. Uh, 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 config I don't think we have the straight models anymore, do we? Or the straight layers.
We do not. But I want to add them back because I want to remove the whole use API in favor of like a layer map based one, but I need to talk to you about that separately.
Let's see.
Like we could even test this without AI and just generate.
Pick up that model done. GPT or
Yeah, you gotta yield it.
I guess you can't get the context out of that.
Not
Unless you
currently.
do something silly like me. Layer dot effects. Well, that's one way to hack a layer out of it.
You could also create a duplicate layer that has a bad API key, maybe, and just provide the bad API key one first.
Uh,
I don't know if that'll work. The way
I
we
think in this simulation, the open AI client would be in the requirements, would it?
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Uh, well, we don't have a build API yet, so let's just provide the client. And
We're gonna
then
need a client.
add client.
Gotta be redacted.
Add
I
client.
think both. Yeah, both are gonna need the Node HTTP API as well.
Layer profile.
It's a client.
I was just wondering if we should use layer map.
Oh, not for the simulation.
We've got some layers now. Right. Badged model. Good model. Let's make a plan. Retry. Plan. Make.
Excuse me.
Jules. Jewel. Dot space. Crazy. Fixed retry. Play.
Retry.
Node run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's probably it. Fix.
Tim, I'm probably gonna have to head out pretty soon. I have to
Okay.
rerun this test, if that's all right. What's it still unhappy about? Oh yeah, we have to provide the model. Aren't we doing that with the layer?
Yeah, retry plan doesn't have any requirements. We'll see. I know what I'm not doing. We're not excluding stuff. Can't retry command. Let's go. Retry combine. This guy, we would exclude provides. This.
Nice. Nice.
Well, oh
Yeah, we forgot the
retry
products.
plan. Added the top A but not pipe, but we can make a prototype. Mm, mm, mm.
Nice.
And then what else?
As any, as any.
Get on the library code. Um, oh yes, it's the old use. We will need to. Well, wait, config override. Will that do it?
It attempts to extract the current config, but I think it will generate one if it's not there. But whatever, just try. You're gonna need to put the model in there.
That's model.
If the config's not making it into the environment, then
We don't have any login. Effect. Effect.log. Attempting to get a dead.
you want to add a log before the retry.
First one
Okay.
failed. Second one failed.
Great.
Just expecting. And there were 3 seconds between retries.
The second one was very fast.
There's no spacing.
Oh, right. Because we fail the first one. We do a second attempt.
First one tried twice and immediately moved on to the next plan. Mm.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the initial delay.
Yeah, something to think about.
Ideally, I guess that would happen before moving on.
Yeah, you would like. I don't know. You have to think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like this is a good start. I'm sure Mike will have feedback for us.
Branch, retry. packages. Good. Maybe I'll just get on circular.
Cool. Well, while we're like getting this PR ready, we'll close out the stream. Thank you everybody for watching, and hope you enjoyed this instead of the content layer stuff. And we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Cheers, everybody.